David Aames drives to work. He finds the streets of New York strangely deserted at rush hour. With growing unease, he drives to Times Square and finds the entire city abandoned. He then awakens in his bedroom once again to realize he's only been having a vivid dream. Cut to David in a jail cell describing a dream to Dr. Curtis McCabe, a psychologist who has been assigned to him. David has been charged with a murder he cannot remember, and he wears a mysterious pale mask. He and Dr. McCabe discuss the events that led to his eventual incarceration. Following the death of David's father, he was given 51% ownership of his father's publishing company. The rest of the company is owned by a board of directors that David disparagingly calls the Seven Dwarfs. Each of them believed that he was next in line to take over the company after David's father died. David can have anything his heart desires, and nothing is beyond him. On the night of his birthday party, which also includes a conversation with a drunken Thomas Tipp, the company attorney and an old friend of David's father, David considered firing Thomas for what he believes is his incompetence as an attorney, but he has a change of heart when Thomas makes a sad confession. David's best friend, Brian Shelby, brings with him a girl named Sophia Serrano whom he just met at the library. Almost instantly, David and Sophia flirt with each other, almost completely ignoring Brian. However, Juliana Johnny, a regular bed partner for whom David has no deep feelings, crashes his party. She stays distant but keeps a close eye on him the entire night. Once David realizes Juliana is there, he asks Sophia to pretend to engage in a deep conversation with him so that Juliana won't come near him. David and Sophia end up hitting it off. David walks Sophia back to her place, where they stay up all night talking. The next morning, as David is getting ready to drive to work, Juliana drives up beside him asking how his night with Sophia was. Juliana makes David feel guilty about ignoring her and convinces him to get into her car. It quickly becomes apparent that she is obsessed with David. She starts driving recklessly, speeding through busy city streets, all the while insisting that she's deeply in love with him and berating him for treating her so casually. Fearing for their safety, he tries to get her to stop the car by telling her that he loves her. She drives the car off a bridge in an attempt to kill them both. Juliana did not survive the crash. David did, however, although his face and right arm are mangled, and he suffers blinding headaches due to the metal pieces holding his skull together. He spends a long time in isolation before deciding to take back control of his company and see Sophia again. She appears hesitant to be around him, and when they go on a date she brings Brian along. The date is a disaster as David drinks too much and makes Sophia increasingly uneasy around him. The three part ways at the end of the night, and David ends up passing out on a sidewalk. It is morning when Sophia wakes him up at that same exact spot and tells him that she will stay with him if he can get his act together. From that moment on, David's life is turned around. His team of plastic surgeons is able to restore his face and he finds his soulmate in Sophia. David's newfound happiness is short-lived, however, when he begins hallucinating. He looks in the mirror to see his face once again disfigured. If you have come this far in the video, please subscribe to this channel to never miss amazing content like this. A mysterious man turns up wherever he goes and tells David that he has the power to control the world. And one night he goes to bed with Sophia and wakes up to find himself with Juliana, who insists she really is Sophia. He grows violent, convinced that Juliana is alive and playing games with him. He is arrested and told by Tipp that he severely beat Sophia, but Tipp will have the case thrown out. Tipp shows David photos of Juliana with a bruised face, but everybody, including his best friend Brian, tells him that it was Sophia he attacked. David breaks into Sophia's apartment and finds that every photo he'd seen of Sophia is now of Juliana. Juliana attacks him thinking he's an intruder but then apologizes while still insisting she is Sophia. She leaves the room and the actual Sophia returns in her place as if nothing unusual had happened. They begin to make love, but while they are in the middle of the act he finds that he is making love to Juliana. In a fit of panic, he suffocates her and then discovers he has just killed Sophia. When David is finished telling Dr. McCabe his story, he still can't bring himself to believe that he killed anybody. Dr. McCabe, frustrated by David's failure to tell him anything meaningful that might help his case, tells him that he can no longer help David and will try to argue for temporary derangement. This odd turn of legalistic phrase is just one of many clues that in this version of David's world all is not what it seems. As Dr. McCabe leaves, David sees an infomercial for a cryonics company called Life Extension. This infomercial involving a dog that has been frozen and brought back to life has appeared at several points throughout the film. David is entranced by the commercial, and McCabe sees that there may be a connection between Life Extension and David's amnesia. Escorted by Dr. McCabe and the police, David visits Life Extension and realizes that he had signed on as a client. He had opted for an extra feature called the lucid dream. This allows cryogenically frozen, clinically dead clients to experience an unending custom-made dream life with no memory of their physical death. David realizes that he is now living in the lucid dream and that the mysterious man is his technical support. The support technician explains that the lucid dream was spliced into his memories at the point where he passed out on the sidewalk after his night out with Sophia and Brian. But the dream went awry and turned into a nightmare. Since nothing he experienced after the splice was real, David realizes that he never murdered anybody. Dr. McCabe tells him that the guilt he felt for the way he treated Juliana may have caused his subconscious to merge Juliana and Sophia. But it turns out that Dr. McCabe isn't real either. He's just a character David created in his dream to be the father figure he always wanted. Most curious is the fact that Dr. McCabe seems to believe that he himself is real and only reluctantly comes to accept the truth. Tech support tells David that in reality, he never saw Sophia again, and that Thomas Tipp, the attorney that David considered firing in the beginning, had saved the company for David and helped him regain control from the board of directors. But David, suffering constant pain and depression following his disfigurement, committed suicide. In the end, technical support reveals an upgrade to the software which allows David to either be reinserted into the lucid dream with no memory of the nightmare portion or to be awakened in the present time and live in the real world with a restored body. David chooses to be awakened in this future. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know in the comment section below which movie you want us to recap next. As always, until the next time.